Wow, I didn't expect it to take you that long. I could have held off and waited for you to come back.
Sorry.
It's all good. Okay, so here's the deal. As I was going through everything, I was extremely, obviously, so we're talking about what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about this avoidant versus narcissist. Because what felt like very narcissistic traits, I just need to acknowledge right now that when I've been discussing things in my streams and talking about them, it definitely looked like that. It definitely presented like that, and it definitely did damage to me. So that is undeniable, okay? Like the emotional, I suffered from emotional abuse symptoms, okay? But when this popped up in my feed and I wanted to learn more about it, it makes me feel like, I'm capable of being wrong. And I know that he used to watch the streams and was very offended. And so, but here's the deal. I'm providing information and it wasn't personal. It was about this behavior and this is why it looks like this and this is what it did to me kind of thing. And here's the big thing. So when I came across this, and I don't know, I want to do even more research, but let's just get this out here, okay? The key difference between avoidant behavior and narcissistic behavior, okay? The key difference is intent. Avoidants withdraw out of fear and vulnerability and pain, while narcissists manipulate, control, and seek admiration to shield their fragile ego and maintain a sense of superiority. Now, here's the deal. So avoidants pull away to protect their independence, avoid conflict, whereas narcissists instigate conflict to control others and may use distance as punishment. Now, here's the thing. So that distance as punishment is the first key sign. That was like, this is called the narcissistic discard. And I did a podcast on that, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. It looks just exactly like an avoidant who may use distance, like to pull themselves away, because basically what it is that if you have invoked if you're in a relationship and the person that is avoidant feels like genuine, like overwhelming amount of love, is actually, from what I can gather from it, like it comes from childhood trauma apparently. But if this were to be the case, if I was approaching everything, because all I know is from my healing journey, that's what helped. Understanding narcissism and what it's like in a relationship is what helped my healing journey, because I was suffering from those things. The behavior of avoidant behavior would still cause the same kind of, like, I would still have the same experience, okay? The key difference is intent. So let's talk about it. Avoidant behavior versus narcissistic behavior, motivation. Avoidant behavior motivation. Fear of rejection, humiliation, and emotional pain, a need for independence and safety from being overwhelmed. Motivation for narcissistic behavior. A deep need for admiration, validation, and control to maintain a grandiose self-image. I am not sure about believing and buying into a grandiose self-image with subject A. I'm not sure. Now, I think this may be an unpopular, because I know your father has had, like his view and perception, and whatnot. But like, it's because is it to be grandiose, or is it because he's avoidant? But this is how, like we can retail therapy, for example. You turn around and, you buy things because it makes you feel good to have something new. Okay. Well, a lot of times, like, things shouldn't be bringing you those kind of levels of joy, really, and I used to do this. I used to pacify myself with that. I mean, it's like, like I'm not judging that. The thing is that they could probably look the same versus, like, is one just to look good and one to feel good. Do you see what I mean? So I don't know. You sound like you're really, you are the biggest questionable critic here right now when I'm telling you this stuff, because my view may be clouded. We know how I can get. Okay.
Yeah. I just feel that it's odd because he feels like, what am I trying to say here? Like,
you're talking about subject A?
Would an avoidant necessarily be like, I'm trying to find the right word here. Show-offy, I guess? Would that... Because he was very show-offy, even though he,
You feel that? Okay. All right. Well, that's what
didn't
you're...
always portray that. Like, looking back on the situation, his times of, oh, woe, and poor is me felt very tactical and well-placed. And it's what set off a red flag for me.
Good point. Okay. Okay. We'll talk more about that in a minute. All right. Okay. I hear you. Okay. So now here is avoidant behavior core beliefs. Insecurity and the belief that they are not good enough for others or that others will judge them. Narcissistic behavior core beliefs, grandiosity, entitlement, and a belief in their own superiority. See, for me, I feel that under that, subject A falls way more under avoidant behavior than necessarily entitlement. But see, I had a problem with this when we talked about it.
Fuck.
Yeah, I had a problem seeing entitlement when we talked about this and the narcissistic like behaviors and stuff. When we did that podcast, I was really like, no, I don't think so. When I went back and I listened to that and I was like, I might be wrong. I'm wrong. I can be wrong. You know, so my question right now is, I wonder because here's the deal. Here's why it matters to me. Okay. If I'm wrong and I've been approaching this as dealing with a narcissist and he actually is has avoidant behavior. I mean, it would be probably like the biggest like, my behavior would be taken as very hurtful, but I feel like it was taken as like he wanted to defend, like, you know what I mean? Again, It's like the apologies that don't come with apologies. And I have to dig more into this because, again, it's about intent. The behaviors are the same. This is why, remember I kept telling you, like, it was like, and this was why it was so hard for me to believe that he was a narcissist when people are telling me that, you know, that this is probably what I'm dealing with. Okay. And it was really hard for me to accept it. But that's because, like, but I go back to, I have a problem in this, making excuses because I believe that I understand somebody's intent even when they don't understand how their behaviors are acting. So I literally took that and was like, well, maybe if he's aware of how his behaviors have affected me, he'll care. And I was not met with any empathy. I was met with rage and anger and, you know, like, slander. Like, I mean, he was like, you're a liar. You're misappropriating fucking shit, whatever, you know, that kind of attack. But also now you have to think about the fact that personalities, like sometimes when we feel attacked, and I believe he told you that when he feels attacked, he can get really nasty, you know, and so can I. I think we all can to a certain extent. You know, but is that what it was, that he felt more attacked, or was it because, literally I was doing and following the steps on how to torture a narcissist? Because that's what I was doing. I was following the steps on, that's what it was called. That's what the article was called. It's like, if you're dealing with a narcissist, this is how, you know, so I was like, well, if I behave this way and he freaks the fuck out and follows their fucking patterns, then I'll know for sure. And I'll stop being in my head about it. You know, when really the healthy thing would have been to not give a fuck and just walk away, but it's a lot easier said than done. As my podcast has reiterated time and time again, I am on a healing journey. And that's why I wanted to do this one. And I know it's late and everything, is because if I'm finding information that makes me, and I think it's dangerous to question, because if you could turn around and be like, oh, they're not narcissistic, they're just avoidant. You know, I don't know what the therapy is yet for avoidant behavior. I don't know any of that, but I do believe that at one time, like, I believe that the closeness, I thought that the closeness that he and I had experienced actually scared him. That's what I thought. So that falls under avoidant behavior, not narcissism. And it gets to be very dangerous when I have gone through all of this and I have tried to, like, and I have come up and I have accepted that, you know, his behaviors have affected me this way. And this is where now I need to learn how to get control of myself and my own actions. So that's going to stay true on either side of these, right? So the actions are still there. They're, you know, like, it was not healthy. It is not a healthy behavior either way, right? But the difference is that there, like I said, there is an intent behind narcissism where they want to be in control. And avoidant, they can get lost. So, but now you brought up the point, and so we'll go on, because next is relationship dynamics. Avoidant behavior and relationship dynamics withdraws during conflict, avoids emotional intimacy, and pushes others away to feel safe and prevent future hurt. Now, I used to have a thing like this before I got through before I healed. Like this is what I used to do in the first 10 years of my marriage, where when I would start to feel too close, I would turn around and I would literally create some sort of like a fight. I would create a fight because I felt too vulnerable to be that close, and that emotionally, exactly that, emotionally vulnerable. Okay. So looks like Jimmy on relationships on YouTube. I'm going to have to go. Here's what I did, chat. I made a list on, I should check to make sure, like I don't even have Twitch. I don't have my thing, so I can't see chat. But anyhow, I made a list on YouTube, avoidant versus narcissistic, because when I find information, I'm going to start using the playlists I have on YouTube that are public will be things that have helped me or whatever that I have found. Instead of me just like doing the studying and reiterating it in another way, I just rather provide people with so if you check out the avoidant versus narcissist playlist on my YouTube channel, you'll be able to see videos that have more information on this. Okay? Because it really makes me nervous. Simply because for narcissism, there are groups and I mean, I don't know if it goes into the actual psychologist, but there are many beliefs, okay? Enough centered around that there are this is a theory that it could it's literally like demonic possession because they have no empathy. See, that's the one thing that really bothers me. That's the one thing that I think that it will be the really deciding for me, what I think. And it's just about why do I need to know? Why do I even care? Well, here's the thing. It fucked up my head so bad. For me, knowledge is power, and learning how people work in this way so that I don't ever get hurt the way that I just was would be really great for me, because that's how I can live my happiest, best self, is to not be afraid, and knowledge helps me understand that. So anyways, avoidant behavior during relationships will, like I said, withdraw to avoid during conflict. Okay. Well, I can see that. Okay. But with narcissistic behavior, they manipulate, belittle, instigate conflict, and seek praise to feed their ego. Now, I would have never thought of his down, whatever, woe is me moments as seeking a cheerleader out. You know what I mean? But that's how I reacted. Does that mean, was it, was that what it was? Because I did see him, not just with me, but I mean, I watched him with his wife. He withdrew too, during but I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, if you look at the difference between how he acted with his wife and he acted with you, why is someone who's dealing with trouble doesn't change a behavior so quickly and easily? If it's an actual feeling. What human being do you know just in an instant stops a behavior for the reason of being told not to?
That's a lot of self-control.
Unless it's not real.
Yeah.
That would be a lot of self-control.
That's really, you're talking about the word we can't say on YouTube incident. Yeah. Wow. That's kind of deep, IG. I mean, in the end, for me right now, damage is so done. And, but if I was being unfair or wrong, I would want to own my shit. And I say repeatedly, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not, this is just my learning. And this is just my perception, my opinion on what I've gone through. And it fit. And all I know is that narcissistic abuse is where my trauma healing really, really started to get deep, where it was healing because for months, I was just so not myself, And so, but again, this is the problem. Avoidant behavior versus narcissistic behavior, the key difference is intent. Same behaviors, just one is literally meant to be evil and the other is literally a little scared little boy, basically.
Yeah. And that's not the vibe I get off the whole situation. especially if you look back at it. I mean, and I know hindsight is 2020, but
See,
like,
narcissist, and I look at it, I think it's all lies. And I guess we know I'm capable of stitching red flags into frickin' roses. But when I look at it, and because even your father said that, I think you two are lying to each other and you really love each other. Well, if it was that, okay, if it was that, and that scared him so that he needed to put the distance in there, and that's really what was causing it, well then, if that was true, I think I would have chosen my actions a little bit differently than I have right now. Okay?
yeah.
I had no information. That's another thing. Like I've been left, I never got answers to my questions. I never, and we kind of said, like, psychologically we seek closure anyway. I never got any of that. Okay? And all of what I have learned about narcissism fits in some way, and that's where I went when I figured that out, when I, like the path that I took, that's, that fit for me, healing. So however it is, whether he's avoidant or narcissistic, subject A affected me in a manner. And here's the other thing. I don't know. I have to look more. But does an avoidant person care if they hurt somebody? Because a narcissist doesn't. I know that. They lack empathy. They just don't care if you're hurting. Where it says avoidance will pull away to protect their independence and avoid conflict. So all those times that I felt like you would assume that there would be a conflict that I didn't get a chance to handle because we weren't communicating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it was that, I probably have made a ton of wrong assumptions. Assumptions are assumptions, but that's all I was left to do. I had no information. He did tell me once, I feel like I've been seriously misunderstood. He told me that at one point, and I'm like, well, fucking, that doesn't tell me anything. Like, if you feel you've been, fucking clarify. Because I would ask things and he would take it as I was accusing him, when really I was like, here's what I think. And then it's like, here, wait for the conversation to happen where you're like, you're wrong, or you're right, or maybe, or whatever. But it was never a conversation. Ever. So, hold on. I didn't want to cough that hard into the mic. Okay. So then the last thing on this list that it talks about, just looking at the differences. You have avoidant behavior, self-perception, may have low self-esteem, but possess a strong sense of independence and self-reliance. That checks. Narcissistic self-perception. Despite a facade of confidence, they have a fragile self-esteem that relies on external validation. I just don't know that I see him as somebody that needed external validation. I know he saw me as that, and that is actually, needing validation comes as after going through trauma. It's a side effect of trauma. My apologies, constantly saying I'm sorry and like constantly looking to people, it's from not trusting myself. So that's something that happens when you've been traumatized, okay? Mm-hmm. But I mean, I would definitely say fragile self-esteem in the narcissistic behavior category, okay? I would definitely say, he could appear confident, but relying on external validation, I don't know that I see that. I don't know that I see that as, and maybe there are different depths of, understanding this and maybe I need to just dig deeper. I just don't know if I want to give it that much time, because what does it really matter in the end? What matters to me right now, because it's not going to change any of my actions or behaviors. Because look, my heart was stomped on. I was completely I just can't even, I hate the fact that I know how I was treated and that other people get treated that way. And that drives me fucking crazy, because it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. So, and I do not believe he feels badly about it. So there's that. His behavior does not scream to me that he feels badly. It screams that, shut up, you dirty little whore. And, you're supposed to not talk my story. That's what I feel.
Yeah. That's what it, also, I mean, again, there's not a lot on this, but I don't feel like that would be an avoidant personality.
Oh.
Either.
Oh, no, it wouldn't, because they wouldn't want to have the conflict.
Yeah, why would you want to have that
So
conflict?
the attack
You'd
comes.
just be hurt and you'd just leave it alone, wouldn't you? You wouldn't
Conflict
confront it.
style. Okay, an avoidant avoids conflict while a narcissist seeks to create it to gain power.
Yeah.
Key contrasts. This is under key contrast, conflict style. An avoidant avoids conflict while a narcissist seeks it to create it to gain power. Okay? Goal of distance. An avoidant needs space to feel safe, when a narcissist uses distance to control, punish, or confuse. Oh, I was hands down being punished for making that payment, bro. Paying him off, giving him the money I owed him. That's when everything just, nope, I was hands down punished for that. It's either that or he was lying to me all before that, and that's all he really cared about, and he was only interacting with me because he was afraid he wasn't going to get his money. But either way, it's one of those. And there's just no way around it. So key contrasts, emotional needs. An avoidant is self-reliant and avoids dependency. Now, see, I could see that. A narcissist requires others to regulate their emotions and maintain their self-esteem. Now, see, that's where you talk about narcissistic supply. And this isn't the way that you would think. This isn't the way but the thriving for reactions, the having control of people and how they interact with them, because of they'll exhibit a behavior in order to get the reaction or get whatever. Which is how others regulate their emotions. That's weird. A narcissist requires others to regulate their emotions. Oh, I read that wrong. Oh. Because you stop behaving in certain ways. You learn that certain emotions don't check out. And if you express yourself emotionally in a certain way, and it will be met with a whatever, if they don't like it. You'll get one of these, the silent treatment, or, the gaslighting or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
But so you learn how to regulate yourself and stop being as emotional unless it's been proven to be acceptable for them. That's very interesting. Vulnerability. An avoidant avoids vulnerability due to fear of pain. A narcissist avoids vulnerability to hide their own insecurities. Well.
Yeah.
Shit. So here's the thing.
Case
closed on that one. I'm definitely sticking with narcissism. But here's the deal. I wanted to provide the information because you can see why I was like, oh shit. Because I wouldn't want to hurt anybody. And if I'm wrong about something, I'd want to own my shit. And I'd hate to throw it. And I repeatedly said in all my streams, I'm not qualified to give a diagnosis and da-da-da-da-da, but this is what I've experienced. So, disclaimer, this, that, whatever. Did you feel those air quotes? What is your dog's problem right now? Do you hear that?
I don't know. Yes, I do hear that. I have a feeling it's... Bro, give me a second. Hi.
What the hell? Sorry, chat. We got to do it. We got to do a podcast on Hottie, actually. We're going to have to do that, too. So that's coming up. We're gonna
fucked with it. So
he does.
Yeah.
Does he not know I'm streaming?
No, he has your stream on.
Oh, look, Power Kane unmuted himself. Of course. I just got to the end of the list. I don't know what to say to you, bro. Wow. All right.
Wow.
Well, anyways, okay, so I'm just going to... typical standard thing, Power King just pops in at the very end. But so what I will say, though, is that... Wow. Is that I definitely, my whole thing on this is that whatever information I can share. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to learn more about this just because I want to. I definitely think that last little fact we just read sealed the deal for me. That it is not my case or scenario, most likely, because, no, it doesn't feel that way. Doesn't feel that way.
No.
It feels not that. Yeah, but it is interesting to me that avoidant behavior and narcissistic behavior can go so close hand in hand, And I'll probably revisit this a little, or at least I will look up. I'm going to find a good resource for it and probably put it on the playlist on YouTube. That is probably because what I really want to know is what's the treatment? Well, actually, you know what? Why can't we just Google it? Learn with me. Let me look. Okay. Oh, God. Okay. I'm just reading here. I mean, they both use CBT. I'm just wondering, because I guess what I want to know, here's the deal. There are treatments for narcissistic behavior, personality. NPD treatment is to develop empathy, which is not what you need in avoidant. So, but they use the same kinds of therapy. But here's the deal. When it comes to narcissism, most professionals feel that it cannot be cured. And what I'm wondering is through therapy, if it's avoidant behavior, can it get better? Is it like trauma? Like, does it just take a lot of work for you to realize that, is it just a kind of trauma? Like, and if it is, because if it is, that would be a key thing that I would think people would want to know, because if you're feeling like you're being treated like you're living with a narcissist and it's really an avoidant, then they're hurting. And if you really love them, you'd want to help them, is what I would think. That would be my go-to. You know what I mean? So I would want the information. That's just how I roll. But in my case, I don't really need to learn about this because it's not going to matter. Because everything where I've gotten to with this and where it's all come out, and especially like we said, and the last thing that I just hit on is like, yep, nope, never mind. Because, I got all kinds of text messages. I'm just like, it's crazy. I don't think that, I don't think an avoidant would come out freaking out fighting the way that I experienced. So womp womp. That was, I don't think it was going to give me hope. Maybe hope for him, that his life could get better, because right now, there's nothing. There's, nothing. After everything I've been through with this and all the growing I've done and everything, it's so unreal that, I don't know. I don't know if it's part of my treatment, because of, healing from this. There is a certain amount, the first thing that you end up doing is looking at yourself and seeing what makes you vulnerable. You fix that. But then after that, you learn, now you're more in control because things aren't going to affect you. So you become emotionally detached from the situation is step 2, basically, And I have become so emotionally detached that when I opened up my Google Photos to grab some stuff and came across a whole bunch of pictures of he and I, and even a video and whatever, there was, I don't know how to describe it besides numbness. Zero emotional reaction. And so what I have learned and what has always helped me with my trauma and what I have been implementing since I've been learning all of this with is CBT, cognitive behavioral training. You train your brain to think differently about the situations, basically. You take control of it. And so I've clearly done a good job. That makes me a little bit sad because it felt so different during those months, even though I now look back and I realize that there was a lot of bad stuff going on, in the side of emotional abuse. But it's just crazy to think of how that intensity was, the intensity of the feeling, and to now be sitting here, and we've only lived here for 6 months, as you said, and it's like nothing. It's like there's no emotional, nothing. The closest I have come is during your podcast, we were talking about something and I was like, oh, I used to know somebody I could ask about this, but oh, well, now I'm going to have to use Google. That's the closest I've gotten to having, it doesn't affect me on that level. Now, not to say that I don't still, I have sad moments. I have moments where I'm still letting out, my own, it's feeling for myself, just understanding the pain I've been in is different than having any feelings towards subject A at all. You know what I mean? So I still get sad because it's not what I thought it was, and he's not who I thought he was, and the experience is absolutely soul crushing. you know, overall to look at it that way, but it doesn't. So every now and then I have grief, you know, and I don't think there's a, like, I mean, just like any other time, there's no calendar day, whatever on grief. So, you know, occasionally it does. It's like, I feel sad, but it's different. It's like loss. It's like grief. It's not, no, I feel grief. I'm grieving in those moments where I feel that way. It is like somebody has died and doesn't exist anymore and there's no chance. But it makes me sad. You know, it's not the same as missing them necessarily, because when somebody is alive and you miss them, it's like, okay. But when somebody's gone and you miss them, it's different. Okay. Because I mean, I've had a lot of people die in my life. It feels way more like that when I have those moments, and they come so few. Like they're not often. They're not often at all. It's crazy. It's crazy that the healing journey has taken me on this trajectory where, you know, my brain has literally now gotten to a point where it looks at the whole situation so much differently. And I went through the phases of, you know, not understanding the behavior and being all caught up in my head, as you guys witnessed through the rumination, to, you know, the trauma dumping. I've literally textbook followed this for narcissistic abuse and emotional abuse. Okay. Like, but where it changes for me, where a lot of people are going to be probably different, and this is going to be a lot harder. And I don't know why it's not for me. And I think it's because of all my years of doing CPT. Because cognitive behavioral training, you just literally, it's mind over matter is what it boils down to. You just have to have the right information in order to train your brain. So once I get the information and I train my brain, I start to view things differently. So it's like I recall a memory. Now I'm processing it for the second time. Because the first time in the moment, it was like this, oh my God, fairy tale love. How the hell could this be so magical and feel this way? To now looking back at it, and then I'm dealing with a pain, because now it's like that behavior was this behavior was that, you know, none of it was real. None of it was real. So now I'm grieving something because, so now and then once you get past that, now the memory no longer has an effect. And it all started when I went to Union Underground and I confronted that. You know, because it was like, I have to have the control back in my life. I have to be able to be myself. I have to be able to be me. I was a very happy person. Most, like, even in moments of like extreme trial, you know, like I overall have been okay like that. And this was not what I was experiencing. I definitely was not okay or happy during any of this, you know? I was looking at the pictures, some of my pictures of me, and I'm like, my smile fades. Like, you can tell the beginning of when I'm genuinely happy. You can see it all in my eyes and my smile, looking at all my selfies that I always take. And it just goes missing. And then it, all of a sudden, when we move down here to the beach, it comes back. Imagine. Go figure. Go figure. Because also moving to the beach was my beginning of, I'm going to shut this down. And it was hard for me. And it took me a long time. And I acted like a crazy fucking whatever. We know this. Been over this 1,000 times. I just like to clarify it because since he can say it, I'm going to make sure I say it too. Yes, I am aware that my name is AndromedaSiren and I was a little bit fucking psycho bitch there for a while. Fucking borderline, like, concernable. I get it. I know. I was really not being well. I was mentally ill. I get it. But I put in the work and I did good and I'm better. I mean, I'm getting better. Not all better. I hate to, you know, give any illusion of that, but I'm definitely going to be okay. So that's all that matters, right? But it does matter to me. And I guess with the whole avoidant versus narcissist, the big thing really comes down to is I feel like it's really dangerous just simply because what does Credo say? Intent doesn't matter, only consequence. And the consequence is my soul was shattered. No matter which one it was. And that may be true for a lot of other people too. But there is a difference in whether or not somebody can even be like helped at all. And people need to help themselves. But with narcissistic personality disorder, the consensus is it is a cycle that never changes. Like they just are a lot of mental health professionals that do not believe you can get better from that. You'll never change. So that's sad. That's sad in its own way.
Big sad.
Yep. So, but I wanted to provide the information. So we're going to do that. I'm going to put a couple more videos that I've come across and just learning with y'all today. I'm going to put a couple more because I saw Jimmy on relationships has avoidant versus narcissist. And I like that guy's content. So I'm going to add it to the avoidant versus narcissist playlist over on YouTube. So yeah. And by the way, before I just get all done with this, let me check right now. Let's check before I get off stream and just see what's going on the channel. Because before I speak, we hit 300 subscribers. We did it. We just hit 300 subscribers since we started doing the podcast. So let's go with that. I love the YouTube love. The YouTube love is a lot bigger for Gunner. And some of these videos where we're actually talking and discussing behaviors, those actually are sought out on YouTube. The way that it'll go, again, I'm just going to remind you guys, is I'm going to publish the podcasts that are like this over to YouTube. Our random just bullshitting podcasts will only be here available on Twitch. And the when I post them to YouTube, any videos that come from Twitch, our podcasts that go up over on YouTube will be posted without notifying subscribers. Just a heads up on that. So, but there will be a podcast list. And I think that's how we're going to run it for a while. So we'll see how that works out. And so, yeah, overall, wow, we actually did do a productive day. We got a lot of shit we got to do for tomorrow though. So I guess I'm going to go and I've got a couple other lists of upcoming podcasts. I want to do a podcast on Hottie. Talking about
do you?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Talking about what it's like owning a husky and whatever. I would like to do that.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, because Hottie hit almost 10,000 views on YouTube. So, but not like only 50% likes. Like people don't like him. They dislike things. And I don't know what it is. And it might have been, I thought at first it was a title. Because it was like, but now I changed the title to this husky used to hate rides. And now he likes to get in the Jeep, right? But still, people aren't liking something. And I don't know what it is. Because they love Gunner. So that's funny. That's funny human behavior. I don't know what to say. But anyways, all right. Thank you, YouTube, for your 300 subscriptions. That's fucking amazing. I think that means I can go live from the beach.
Oh.
I think that's what that means. I might be able to do that one day. We might have to do that to say thank you to the subscribers. That may be a thing. When we hit certain subscriber goals, I'll go live from the beach. That sounds like a nice thing to do for everybody. Gunner and I will go live from the beach. Gunner and I, because I know what YouTube really loves. Thank God Twitch loves me over here and watches things and like rewatches my stuff and is like nicer to me because YouTube doesn't have as much love for me. They just love Gunner. No, it's okay. I'm fine with that. I love him too, so it's all good.
Emotional, damn it.
I still gotta be me. Still gotta have a place to be me. It looks like Twitch is it. So, all right. Until next time, we'll talk to y'all later. Take care of yourselves.